My name's Paul Vandervort. I'm the writer and actor in Limelight, the movie. I'll do that.
You better not suck.
Yeah. What I saw was pretty good, so.
Alright. Let's move forward and squash this.
Let's do it.
And make a fucking killer movie.
Oh yeah. I started the idea about 2 years ago. I had all these crazy ideas. Who in the world would be able to understand this if they weren't in it? You know, and I started writing down ideas, which kind of turned into the first draft. A year ago, I shot a short with just kind of a general idea of what I was thinking about doing. And then I spent another year further developing the script, and then using that short and, you know, kind of that momentum to fundraise with investors. So.
And how did you meet these investors?
Everywhere, just knocking on doors. No, mostly referrals, either friends, friends of friends.
You done in this town near me?
I moved here May 2008, 7 years ago. I was selling cars like in the movie, and the economy tanked. I bought a house when I was 21, worth nothing. Like if I were to stay and try to work things out financially, I never would have been able to move. So it was one of those classic stories of like throw everything in my Toyota 4Runner, drive to LA, leave it all behind, and luckily it kind of worked out.
So flash forward like 5 years or so, you decide I'm going to do this idea. So you'd had a number of experiences that you thought, you know what, I'm going to put them in a script? Or?
Well, I mean, I just would think about things and I'm like, other people must be going through these things that I'm going through, not just in the industry, but in general, with what our film talks about, which is all the different types of narcissism, you know, in Hollywood, but also everywhere that we all have. Social media and how that's just changing everything. You know, when I moved here 7 years ago to now, it's completely different in terms of how relevant social media is and how people use it every day. So that was a part of, you know, the message in the script and in our story. And then also just the crazy things you do, you know, when you're pursuing entertainment. And I just kind of, I thought it would be a story that would resonate with other, particularly artists, anywhere in the world.
How long did it take you to write the script?
The first draft didn't take that long. When I first sat down and started writing, I finished it pretty quickly, and I've written probably 20 drafts since then.
Oh, wow.
So the process took about 2 years. The first draft didn't take very long at all. I'm somebody that mostly writes at home. I completely isolate myself and shut out the whole world, and I have to, but then I write really fast as I think. And then I will go take a break and I get ideas and I just put the notes in my phone or write them down. But when I'm actually writing, like, I just have to shut out everything and kind of live in that world. Like when I very first started, I just was starting to jot down ideas and how they would fit together to tell a story that makes sense in a 3-act structure, the way that you need to tell a story for a movie. And as I went, I just kind of developed each part. I ended up just writing sequentially and then looking at what I had and then trying to work that back into a structure that works for a screenplay. So it was an interesting process. Probably the best book I've ever read is the famous Save the Cat book, Blake Snyder, which I really was just picking up for the first time when I first started writing this idea. And I have wonderful friends, you know, who've done this so much longer than me that are, you know, just wonderful and successful and took the time to really advise me and listen to my ideas and weigh in and see what was working and what wasn't working. So that was a big part of it as well, is sitting down and be like, here's kind of my synopsis, and then having them really weigh in, honestly, you know, is something that I'll just be very grateful for always.
If someone didn't have a trusted friend, or maybe they're just hesitant to show their work to people, what would you advise them on doing? Like,
you have to. When I first started writing, I was like, I can't tell anybody this because everybody's gonna take it. And by the end, I'm like, send it to whoever you want, I don't care. And I think it's like the stronger my grasp got on what I was trying to do, the more confident I got that, like, take this idea, take that log line, it's gonna be completely different than what I'm gonna do with it. I would say you just have to tell your friends, you know, and you have to realize that you will have bad ideas, you know, and if somebody listens to you and they go, oh, like, maybe rethink it. You know, and if people are going, oh my God, that sounds amazing, then keep it. But you have to be able to handle criticism. Otherwise, it's just going to be an ego project. I hear about writers who like won't change a thing, and everybody has to be married to copy, and I will never understand that.
Once the 20th draft was finished, how long before you got this location and were ready to shoot? Like, what was the time span?
Very quickly, because the last drafts happened once the director was hired, and as we were already into casting, and we're kind of just doing tweaks. And I was very lucky that the director had such a wonderful vision for the film that lined up with my vision. So we got together and talked about ideas. And so between then and now, it's just a month. The last draft, probably a month ago.
And are you working with anyone else, or you're the sort of the sole, band behind getting all of the crew together?
I've been kind of leading the charge since I first had the idea, and now it's me and James, the director.
Who is your character in the film? Like, what's he like?
Completely self-absorbed narcissist, obsessed with social media, who will do anything to be famous. And kind of that journey of being so connected and yet so empty and disconnected, and kind of taking the classic story of like the kid who comes to LA and it's like so nice, but then bad things happen. It's like kind of the opposite, like somebody so self-absorbed and entitled coming to LA and losing everything, and just that journey, but really using social media to explore that, because it's not realistic anymore if you don't. It's like, even when I was talking to the director, it's like all the background in the film should just be on their phones the whole movie. And it's still a new thing that I don't think's been fully explored. Everything's just going more and more to the internet and social media, and I think it'll continue that way, at least for now.
You think humans are just hardwired to want attention like that? That it's not really narcissism, it's just sort of a heightened version of how we already are?
We all want to be validated, and social media does that, But kind of what we talk about in the film is if there's a way to find balance. Because I think everybody needs a little bit of narcissism, and self-esteem and confidence. But so much of like Instagram, it's interesting because if I post a photo of like something really cool I see, it's like nobody really likes it. They don't care. If I post a selfie, people all like it. And it's really caters to that mindset that you're so wonderful that people want to look at you.
How much of the character that you play or that are others in the film is you? Like, which one is you? It maybe not your main character, maybe it's a friend, or...
I feel like the whole film is pieces of me because, some of them are based specifically off of like mostly one person, me or somebody else, and then others are like bits and pieces of a few people into a character. But I'm all over the film, and it's so special to be making it now because as I look at a character, it's like I have such an attachment to them and they mean something very special to me. So I'm all over there,
Once you're finished with the film, what's your hope for it?
I just want to tell the story that we're trying to tell, to make sure that what's on the paper ends up on the screen. James is amazing as our director. Our DP is just incredible. Our whole team. I'm like so lucky. It's scary because it's scary to think about going on to another film if I don't get them again because everybody's so wonderful. And my goal is just to honor that and to like make sure that this is as special as it can be and to tell that story that we're all trying to tell, and to, to go to the big festivals to get, as big of a sale as we can, and then to hopefully make 3 more right behind it and to try to get these guys back on board.
And you want to be the writer, producer, and actor?
If it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I have another project that I've written already that, I'll polish up and see if I can lock in James. But, yeah, I mean, I love acting, so I think I'd probably be in about everything that I produce.
So back 2 years ago, was there a point for you where you said, I'm really tired of submitting myself and I want to do this? Or was the idea of just this whole, narcissism and what people go through in Hollywood just so attractive to you? Was it a little bit of both?
Both, definitely. When I started my company, my whole world changed. And all of a sudden, every meeting was an opportunity to learn, which I've said before. And taking that power and that control is really wonderful. And, then you look back and you're like, man, the first couple of years, I didn't waste my time because I learned other things and I met people and had experiences. But yeah, you got to just control your own life, and that's hard to do in this business. So making content and collaborating with other people is completely the way to go, in my opinion.
So from 2008 till now, what's one thing that a casting director or somebody, agent, says to you that's really stayed with you, really resonated?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think some of the comments on just how the industry has changed. When I first moved here, I was completely not ready to be going out for the things I was going out on. And now, the business has changed. It's interesting how, so this is one of the things that stuck with me is people talking about how when they are developing a show, they bring in YouTube stars and they bring in TV personalities who may or may not have ever acted in their life. And that stuck with me, and that's also relevant to like the making of this film is, it really is a new era of needing to just do it yourself. And if you have a story, put it on paper. And if you have it on paper, go get it financed and partner with people and create together, you know?